All right, we are going to do a deep dive into the bowels of the Republican Party, and we are going to see that through the lens of a completely deranged and demented speech given by the former president Donald Trump in Phoenix, Arizona over the weekend. The context of this speech was that it was one of these Turning Point USA, that's that college Republican group. It was a Turning Point USA event in Phoenix in support of the election audits, or audits as some call them, which some Republicans still believe are imminently going to lead to the reinstatement of Donald Trump. Now, none of that is going to happen. It's hard to even call the audit an audit, but we learned so much from this speech about the state of the average Republican voter. So let's get right into it. First of all, just the introduction for Donald Trump is beyond parody. Satire is dead. Trump coming out to dubstep mixed in with that lame country song that we're supposed to pretend that a rich guy from Queens actually likes. Take a look at this.
Do you miss me yet? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump! Be an American.
Okay, so you get it. Completely beyond parody, unable to be satired, putting Saturday Night Live completely out of business. But the content was a mix of lies, yes, delusions, of course, and also just completely unintelligible statements. In this clip, Trump refers to the authors of the audit. I assume he means the auditors. He also, instead of talking about affidavits, he seems to say affidata. It's all weird.
We can't let this happen. Yet this is only the beginning of the irregularities the Arizona audit is uncovering. The authors and the auditors have collected a sworn affidavit stating.
So the auditors have uncovered the authors, and the authors found affidavits. So, you know, that seems to be, listen, if you want a predictor as to whether these audits will have an impact, the fact that Trump says that they are authors finding affidavits, it's all not good. It's all not good. And then maybe in the most bizarre moment of the entire speech, Donald Trump repeating the word routers more than 10 times in 36 seconds. I challenge you to prove that Trump even knows what a router is.
The county has, for whatever reason, also refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. Wendy, we got to get those routers, please. The routers. Come on, Kelly, we can get those routers. Those routers, you know what? We're so beyond the routers. There's so many fraudulent votes without.
Are we? Because you don't sound like you're beyond them.
But if you got those routers, what that will show, and they don't want to give up the routers. They don't want to give them. They are fighting like hell. Why are these commissioners fighting not to give the routers? How simple could it be? That will tell the truth.
So that's very strange. Something really weird going on there, almost like Trump falling into some kind of linguistic black hole where he just can't stop repeating the same word. And then we go from confusion to just lies. Trump says that the real big lie is that Joe Biden won. In other words, the lie being told is Biden won. The truth as Trump sees it is he actually was the winner in November, now 9 months ago.
The big lie, they call it. You know what's the big lie? The opposite is the big lie. The
Right.
election was the big lie. And I've got to tell you, I've got to say this. I've never said it before, but I've always thought it.
Uh-oh.
If I lost the election, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. Seriously, if we lost the election, we lose an election. I'll go home. I'll start building buildings. I'll do something. I'll keep myself busy.
Now, this is funny because he did lose, and he promised before, if I lose, you won't see me again. And yet here he is in like speech number 5 or 6 since losing the election. But he just continued. His argument is, I didn't actually lose.
But you know what? If we lost the election, we know when we lose.
You don't.
know,
Yeah.
the big-
So there's that. And then Trump just continuing with this stuff. Let's look at one more of these.
If I lost this election, I could handle it pretty easily. When they steal it from you and rig it, that's not easy, and we have to fight. We have no choice.
So there it is. That's what I alluded to before, which is Trump just doesn't believe that he lost. He says, if I lost, I would accept losing and I would be fine. I would be a big boy. I would be an adult. Well, but sir, this time,
sir,
you're not actually acting like an adult, but you said you would. Well, no, it's because I didn't actually lose. Oh, okay. I mean, just completely disconnected. And the crowd cheering is a real sign to us. The fact that these crowds continue to believe this tells us a lot about the state of the Republican electorate at this point in time. Then Trump again sort of alludes to the idea that once these audits are done, he'll be back in office. And of course, there's no mechanism for such reinstatement. And of course, the audits aren't real audits. And of course, he didn't actually win. And, you know, I don't think I need to tell you.
They almost got away with it. They may have gotten away with it. We're going to find out because something's going to have to be done.
Something.
But I don't think so.
Something.
I don't think so. You know, if somebody robs Tiffany, a beautiful jeweler, 57th and 5th, good location, excellent location, and they steal the diamonds, and then they get caught, they have to turn the diamonds back.
The diamonds.
It's very simple. Amazing the way it works.
So apparently returning stolen jewelry to Tiffany's at 57th and 5th is equivalent to the reinstatement of a president 9 months post an election. It's all very, very strange. And you and I might say, David, who could possibly believe that at this point? The people in the crowd, at least some of them seem to believe it. Check out what Donald Trump then claimed about the first 6 months of Joe Biden's presidency.
But you know what? If instead of doing the horrible, they're saying it was the worst 6 months in the history of the presidency. I don't know that that's true, but I would say it is. But you know,
it's not true. Trump's instinct there, I don't know if it's true. What's amazing to me about that is all the people saying we've gone down a communist spiral and it's all dystopian and it's all terrible, socialist, Marxist, etc. Imagine being so disconnected from reality that you believe Biden has even done that much one way or the other. I mean, quite frankly, many people, myself included, wish that Joe Biden had done more. Now, there might be people who would disagree with the stuff Biden did if he did it, and people who would agree, but he's just not done that much. He did some executive orders right up front to reverse some of the most atrocious things that Donald Trump did. He got COVID stimulus passed, which was a great thing, but it's relatively low-hanging fruit. Globally, Europe looks at the controversy that took place here over Biden's COVID stimulus package, which Republicans were against, despite signing off right away on the Trump stimulus packages, which were very, very similar. He hasn't even done that much one way or the other. And the idea that in 6 months, so much has happened, aside from whether you like it, that this would be the most significant anything 6 months of a presidency, it's just imaginary. And then Trump starts leaning more heavily on the communist stuff.
Like it or not, we are becoming a communist country. That's what's happening.
I continue to recommend that when people say that, say, what does communist mean? Can you define communism? What exactly is a communist society, an economy, a government? It's a really fun experiment because it goes nowhere. And then Donald Trump recommending the vaccine, but also recommending freedom.
We are at the beginning of a communist system.
Sorry, no.
Radicals are seizing power and destroying everything we hold dear as Americans.
Okay, so that's more on the communism stuff. Then Trump recommends the vaccine, but also recommends freedom. It's like, what does that mean?
I mean, how about the vaccine? I came up with the vaccine. They said it would take 3 to 5 years, gonna save the world. I recommend you take it, but I also believe in your freedoms 100%. But just so you understand, but it was a great achievement.
And notice the crowd is not cheering for I recommend the vaccine. The crowd is cheering for I recommend freedom. And that's, I recommend you take it, but I also recommend freedom. Yeah. And the delusional nature of I came up with the vaccine. I mean, aside from the fact that, it's scientists and people in medicine who come up with the vaccine, the idea that Trump did anything other than just pre-purchase some vaccines is laughable at this point. It's crazy that he's even still repeating that. And then Trump finally gets to the topic of running in 2024. And he says, when I talk about people tell me running in 2024, I just won an election. Why do I need to run again?
You're way ahead of everybody. run in 24, sir. You're going to win. And I say, wait a minute. I just won 6 months ago. Congratulations, sir. You just won the election.
Yeah. So Trump insisting, run again. I just won this thing. As many of you know, the Olympics are going on. And then Donald Trump started sort of goading the audience into booing the U.S. women's soccer team, which doesn't sound particularly patriotic to me.
Demented. The U.S. women's soccer team is a very good example of what's going on.
Boo? What?
Earlier this week, they unexpectedly lost to Sweden 3-0. And
people are cheering the loss of the U.S. women's. I thought this was all about Team America. They're cheering that the U.S. women's soccer team lost.
Americans were happy about it.
No, your crowd is happy about it, dude. They're cheering.
You proved that point before I even said it. Demented.
Okay. Anyway, so Trump almost seeing people cheering it as a good thing. I mean, what is considered patriotic about that? I thought these were the people who had the monopoly on patriotism. Then, in a bizarrely xenophobic moment, Trump can't remember the name of a Taliban leader, and he just refers to him as Muhammad. It's very strange.
It's a much different deal. I told the Taliban, I spoke to the leader, and I said, let's call him Mohammed. I said, Mohammed, we're leaving.
Yeah, so his name is actually Hibatullah Akhundzada, but Trump, absent remembering, he's like, well, it's a Muslim guy. Let's just call him Muhammad. Bizarre moment. And of course, like the implicit xenophobia of that going completely over the crowd's head, or not going over their head, but they like it. And then, and this is really relevant to what's going on within the party, when the name Mike Pence is mentioned, the crowd boos. This is a Republican crowd.
And I only wish that my friend Mike Pence had that additional courage
Boo.
send the results back to the legislatures, because it all happened so quickly. You know, they schemed in this plan for 4 years. This all happened
so the crowd not liking the former Republican president. This is a Republican crowd, by the way. And then lastly, it all coming full circle, Trump describing a propaganda technique that he's actually using to convince people of stuff.
But that's what they do. And you know what it's called? Disinformation.
Huh.
They make up a lot of crap, and they say it over and over and over. And one day you say, oh, who was the one that wanted to defund? I guess it was the Republicans. The Republicans are against a very serious...
So anyway, Trump saying disinformation, you repeat something often enough and people start to believe it, which of course is what he has done. It's been his strategy. I won, massive vote dumps, all this different stuff. That's the technique that he uses. He's identifying a known technique. It's just he's attributing it to the other side. So what are the takeaways here? First of all, completely outrageous, globally humiliating speech. I mean, the fact that a former president speaks this way, is doing these speeches, is saying these things is absolutely humiliating. And in addition to that is the reality that he still mostly owns the Republican Party. The crowd is with him. Although you have Liz Cheney, who is only with Trump 90% of the time, says the election stuff has to stop. Adam Kinzinger, who's going to be on the House January 6th commission that starts tomorrow, he's willing to say Trump is wrong on a couple of, but he mostly owns the Republican Party. And so the question is what happens in 22 with that and what happens in 24. And I want to hear from you. We'll have more coverage of this deranged and demented speech on our Instagram at David Pakman Show. You can leave your comments there or wherever else you're watching or listening today. Let me know your thoughts. One of our sponsors is Geology, the place to go for men's skincare. Geology helps men find a simple skincare routine that works. It's personalized for you by a dermatologist, and Geology can help with dark, puffy eyes, acne, oily skin, protecting your skin against damage. You answer a few questions about your skin. A dermatologist will design a personalized skin regimen for your needs. You'll get a 30-day trial with the products they recommend to try them out. If you like how it goes, they'll keep sending it to you. These aren't bogus miracle creams. These are just the clinical evidence-based products that dermatologists have at their disposal, but they're tailored personally to you based on the products you really need. I took the quiz a couple of months ago. Their dermatologist matched me with a regimen that's just great for me. I've been happy with the results. My skin's looking great. I can actually see a difference. Go and take Geology's free quiz, and when you use my link right underneath this video, you will save up to 40% off your first paid month.